Is this thing on? Oh, okay, yes it is. Come on, come here. Yeah, you guys gonna meet my baby. Come on, come on. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and boom! Alright, what's going on, y'all? Hopefully you guys have been doing well. And, well, just from the title of this message, this video, sorry, I'm not married. And so, sorry if you think I was, but as of Halloween 2020, hence, I'm still single, but yet, who knows about the future, right? But anyway, about today, we're going to be discussing, of course, marriage. And so today is chapter 26 of the Devotional Doctrine series, and it is titled The Meaning of Marriage. And before we begin, I just want to tell you guys that I am in no way, shape, or form qualified to teach about this subject. So I will be primarily reading off whatever Mr. Armstrong has in this series. And so, let's dive right in, shall we? And so it begins off with saying, how is your views of marriage, you could say. And to many of us, it may be good or it may be bad, which majority of the time, we have a pretty sour view of what marriage is like. And so it's like, is that really what marriage is meant to be about? Just like, a sour taste in our mouth? Well, of course not. And so what's pretty much the primary purpose of marriage then? Well, and here it says, marriage exists to glorify God. And so, how does marriage glorify God? We'll go through two topics today. So topic number one, it says a God-glorifying commitment. And so, it's a commitment that glorifies God between a man and a woman. And we'll look at this through the very first marriage in the Bible, which is, of course, Adam and Eve. And so, let's turn there, shall we? In Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, it says this. Then the Lord said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him." And so pretty much the purpose of God making Eve for Adam was because, of course, God said that was the only thing that wasn't good in creation times. And so God deeming something as not good, he had to fix it somehow, and that was how he fixed it with Eve, so that Adam won't be lonely anymore, and thus making something not good something good. And that was through the commitment. So that was the very first family as well. And so them both being joined for this commitment, they were committed to each other because they only had each other. You could say that. And so now with someone to, you could say Adam wasn't lonely anymore, so now he had someone else to share something with. So he had somebody to be committed with. And so in this one, it says a God glorifying commitment through which they could enjoy an intimate companionship, freely engage in sexual expression, and bear and raise children. Because in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, it says, "Be fruitful and multiply." Well, how can Adam be fruitful and multiply by just himself? That brother was not going to have any babies. And so the next topic is a picture of God and his people. And here it says, "But marriage is more than a commitment between a man and a woman for life. It is more than a place for us to enjoy intimacy and to raise children. Marriage itself is a picture of how God relates to his people." And that's given by Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33. And it says this, "Nevertheless, each individual among you also is to love his own wife even as himself. And the wife must see to it that she respects her husband." And so with that Bible verse, it talks about roles. And so we'll talk about the husband first. It says this, "Loving as Christ loves." So the husband is called to love his wife, just as Christ loves the church, spending himself for her good, helping her to flourish and grow in godliness. He provides for, protects, and leads his family as a servant, humbling himself and sacrificing his own desires for the good of those he loves. And flip-flop for the wife's role now. It says, submitting as though to Christ. A wife is called to submit herself graciously to her husband's servant leadership, as the church submits to Christ, treating him with respect as her equal. As a fellow image bearer of God, she serves as his helper to his partner in managing the household and nurturing the next generation. So in closing thought, it's like this topic that we just discussed about is I would say very small portion of what like the bigger picture is of marriage between a man and a wife, and of course the relationship between God and His church. And so there's more to it, but I mean, my challenge to you guys is, of course, again, we may not have seen the best example of what marriage is, but yet my challenge to you guys is to pray for those people who are married, because I mean, of course, life is hard, life is difficult, and if not done according to how God intended it to be or sees it as, then of course we will always fail. And so please pray for those who are married, so that they may be able to, like, you could say, provide us an example of what it means for Christ to love the church. But what about those who aren't married, such as how can we, you could say, represent this, like you could say, marriage between Christ and His church? How can we do that? Well, the thing is, since we are known as, like, us as Christians are known as the bride of Christ, we fulfill that wife role, which of course her role to the husband is respect and to be a helper. And so how can we respect and help God? Well, respecting is, of course, we submit to God's authority and God's will in our lives. And with helping, of course, we help deliver His message or His gospel to other people who haven't heard yet, so that they may, of course, believe as well, and help other people believe and, like, have eternal life, and like possibly, like, a better outlook of hope and life here on earth. And no matter what it is, it will help benefit them, like, so that of course they may too become that light of the world. But other than that, just doing God's work, which is, of course, is loving people. And so that is pretty much it. So I pray that you were blessed by this message, and I hope that you were encouraged to take action through this message as well. So I thank you so much for listening in, and I pray the best for you and your family. And so God bless, and see you all next week.